My name is Nathan Laurie. If you are new here, we talk about the law and the facts. If you're about that life, don't forget to like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. So we've been watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial for the past 7 weeks. And at the end of the day, Johnny Depp won essentially everything. They said that he didn't sexually assault his wife. They said that he didn't abuse his wife in any domestic violence situation. The statements and the claims that he did were false and defamatory. And she is going to owe him about $8 million after everything is said and done. After that vicious, and I mean vicious, loss by the Amber Heard team, because essentially the jury said that she was lying about being sexually assaulted. She was lying about domestic violence. Everything that she was saying that happened to her, the jury essentially did not believe her. So let's see how her attorney Elaine spins it the next day. Here she is on CBS.
We heard Amber's reaction to the verdict yesterday. This seems to be a huge victory for Johnny Depp this morning.
Yeah, a major setback for women, for women inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom.
Because
basically what this said, Amber had an enormous amount of evidence, although a lot of it was suppressed in this case as opposed to the UK. But look at all the women who have no evidence, all these women who suffer from domestic violence, domestic abuse, they don't have evidence. And basically what this jury said is unless you pull out your cell phone and you tape record your spouse beating you, you're out of luck.
But Elaine, I think it was bigger than that because you had the evidence.
I like to say, well, hold on, Elaine. It's bigger than that. And let's understand what Elaine is doing here. She's essentially just gaslighting the public, right? The jury's saying that you got to film it. And if you don't film it, no, the jury's not saying that. The jury's saying that if Amber is going out there saying that I was beaten with sticks and bottles and my nose was broken and my eyes were black and I was totally ripped apart by Johnny Depp on Monday, and on Tuesday, not only do I have no bruises, I'm doing red carpet events. We think you're telling us a lie. When you say that there's a vicious event that happens, and we look and we say, well, the next day, you didn't take any pictures of anything, right? You're taking pictures of walls, you're taking pictures of him sleeping out cold, but you can't take a picture of yourself. That didn't seem reasonable. And the amount of lies she told. So this case wasn't about the jury saying you don't have enough evidence. It was saying that you're a liar. And on top of that, you don't have any evidence, right? And the evidence that was put forward. Again, all of these people said that Amber Heard was not being honest. I think they put up like 20 people that said Amber wasn't being honest with certain events. And what this woman is saying is that you should believe Amber.
Evidence, as you say, but they did not believe her. Why do you think they did not believe her?
I think that a lot of that was that it was Johnny Depp. I think the celebrity status.
But she's a celebrity too.
I like it. It's like, but she's a celebrity too. What are you talking about? You can't just say she's a nobody. She's a celebrity. She was an Aquaman, right? Aquaman. She's going to make a lot of money from Aquaman.
But she's a celebrity too.
Right.
But you have to remember, it's a tale of two trials. All the evidence came in the UK.
So now you see how she pivoted? Before it was, oh, he's a big celebrity, but she's a celebrity too. What are you talking about? Now it's a tale of two trials. So let's hear the tale of two trials.
Mr. Depp brought that one. The burden of proof was on the son in the UK because they had called him a wife beater and talked about the domestic violence. He had his opportunity to tell the truth then.
Which he did, I'm assuming.
And a 3-week trial, he lost. The judge found 12 acts of domestic violence, including sexual violence. And that came out November 2, 2020. We weren't allowed to tell the jury that.
Well, it's a different system, and the judge, it wasn't a jury, it was a judge. The judge said it was substantially true. And that is significant, and I think surprised a lot of legal analysts. But, in this case...
But the thing is that wasn't allowed to come in, that he lost against the son, just like Amber Heard's domestic violence arrest wasn't allowed to come in, right? So what she's trying to say is, look at this big shiny object over here, right? We wanted to bring in the fact that Johnny Depp lost a defamation suit in another country against someone else. That's not relevant to his domestic violence claims against Amber Heard, right? Now, even though Amber testified in that trial, it was in another country and it was against another defendant. So it's irrelevant to this action. But Elaine wants to make it seem relevant because that seems to be their pitch now. We won, and this was a miscarriage of justice. The true win is in the UK. What happened here in the US was a travesty of justice. Interesting spin.
The jury not only didn't believe Amber Heard, but in ruling that she acted with actual malice, that means she had the intent to cause harm, right? That's a pretty high standard to have proven.
And it's pretty amazing since the op-ed never even mentioned Mr. Depp. You have to remember that. What they learned from the UK case is to demonize Amber, which is what they did. And
now, this is what I call relitigating the case, because the op-ed didn't name Mr. Depp. Well, that's the reason why it's defamation by implication. It didn't have to name him, but everybody knew it was what we were talking about. Matter of fact, the first versions of the op-ed did have Johnny Depp's name in it. They took it out because of Amber's lawyers, and then after they rewrote it, they wrote it in a way so everyone would know it was Johnny Depp without saying his name. The ACLU testified to it. We all know what it's about. So again, she's trying to relitigate the case here in public to give people some talking points. But what she's saying is just not true.
And to try to suppress as much of the evidence that came in the UK and did not come in the United States. But the other problem is we had cameras in the courtroom. So here we had, not only did we have a group of Depp fans that were there every day, 100 were allowed in. They lined up at 1 o'clock in the morning for their wristbands to be in that courtroom. But we had everything on camera, and we had tremendous social media that was very, very, very much against Amber.
It was pointed out that that was a...
Well, I just want to be clear. The reason why social media was against Amber was because we were able to see the evidence in real time. See, a trial is a story, right? So first, the plaintiff tells their story and presents their evidence, and it was pretty convincing, right? Depp's presentation of it was pretty convincing. And we waited and looked at Amber's presentation, and her presentation of the evidence was not only not good, it was bad. Right? It was bad. She couldn't get her friends to come testify. She didn't have any corroborating evidence. Her whole case was, believe me, Amber the Queen. We didn't. No one did. And that's why it was bad on social media.
First time that a victim of sexual abuse had to testify on live television.
And I fought hard and lost that battle.
So,
it should not have happened.
So
of course it should
I'm
have
a
happened.
former NFL player. And after a hard loss, it's easy to wake up and point to the other side.
Of course.
Oftentimes, I realized the better thing to do was to look in the mirror. What mistakes did I make as a player? What mistakes did our coaching staff make? And then how can we improve from there? Do you feel like you guys made any mistakes along the way? Do you feel like Amber made a mistake while she was on the stand? Because you're saying it's the celebrity, it's Johnny, it's the people who support him.
Everybody
What
else.
about you and your team?
That's a good question, right? You're blaming everybody else. And if you notice, she's doing the same exact thing Amber did on the stand. It's the cop's fault. It's the doorman's fault. It's this person's fault, that person's fault, everybody's fault. I am pure and clean, and I do no wrong. I am Amber. Hear me, believe me, right? Everybody else's fault. And now Nate is asking her, well, what did you guys do wrong? Because you're blaming the judge, you're blaming the jury, but what did you do wrong? Why did you lose? It can't be everybody else. Everybody, you're blaming social media. You're blaming the jury. You're blaming this person. You're blaming that person. What did you do wrong? Let's see what she says.
Well, and that's an excellent question. And to say, and you know, Amber even said on the stand, I am not perfect. I am a human being. These people were giving her death threats. They threatened to microwave her
Remember,
baby.
the question is, what did you,
This
what
is
did,
the
what
kind
did
of
you
social
do
media
wrong?
she was getting. So are any of us perfect? No. Is there something else we feel we should have done? Yes,
Like what?
absolutely. I redo my closings 100 times afterwards, whether I win or lose. That's part of being a good lawyer, a good trial lawyer, is there's always something. But I think that there were a lot of influences here that were beyond our control. And I think the social media, it was like a Roman Colosseum. is the best way to describe the atmosphere here. And I have to believe that the jury, even though they're told not to go and look at anything, they have weekends, they have families, they have
they were not
media.
sequestered. They were not sequestered.
And the 10-day period we had, how could they not have been in?
Well, I'm going to say this. This is disgusting because she's calling the integrity of the jury in the question. Think about that, people. She's calling the integrity of the jury in the question. They swore an oath not to look at anything, to go on those 10 days, to do everything, not to be influenced by outside things, right? And she is saying that they broke that promise. And she's going on national TV and saying the jury essentially was corrupt and broke their vow, right? They broke their oath and did outside research in the case. In some jurisdictions, that would get you brought up on some ethics charges, right? What evidence does she have to make that claim? Just because they went home for 10 days, so that means they obviously did outside research and looked. Elaine, you got to be careful what you're saying. This is your borderline, on this point.
Influence.
But Elaine, for most people watching this trial, and a lot of people, as you know, got huge views. It just seemed to be so messy and salacious and so tawdry on both sides. On both sides.
That's true. Facts.
And I think a lot of people from the outside looking in thought both of them were not telling the truth and that they mutually abused each other. Do you not believe that was the case?
No, and that's one of the many misnomers. The way that Depp's
Now, I want to be very clear. So that was a softball question, right? Most everybody thought they abused each other, right? Just admit they both abused each other, and we can move on, right? They're both bad people. So it's funny because Gail, that's who the black woman is, Gail King. What she said is she was trying to make it seem like, hey, you both were bad people and nobody should have won. But now Elaine can't say, yeah, that's true. She's got to double down. Remember what they've been saying. Amber is an innocent angel. Depp is a devil. So she can't say yes to that question. She's got to make it. No. Amber's the good person. Depp is the bad person. Watch.
team approached this was based on ignorance of domestic violence. It completely ignored the cycle of violence and just said, oh, she wouldn't have done this if he had been hitting her. That was their approach.
So you thought that they weren't fighting fair?
Correct. I don't think they were fighting fair.
So now the judge is wrong. The jury broke their oath, right? Social media is what made us lose the case. And now Depp's team wasn't fighting fair. In legal terms, that usually means that you're saying they're being unethical, but she's saying they weren't fighting fair. Really?
And you think
Absolutely.
Amber Heard is, in fact, a survivor of domestic violence?
Yes, I absolutely believe that. And there's a tremendous amount of evidence, much of which did not come into this trial, did come into the UK trial. We even had more evidence. We had medical records.
Again, we have the secret evidence. And now she's going to just start describing evidence that couldn't go into the trial that we couldn't see. And this is the way to do it, people. If you're an advocate and you're trying to spin it, remember, you never come with any facts. She's not coming up there and look at these pictures I sent to your producer, right? Just name it out. We had medical records. We had this. We had a mountain of evidence. And guess what? It's a pony and show game, right? I'll show you it. Well, actually, I said pony and show. It's a show and tell game, right? I'm telling you everything, but I show you nothing. That's what she's doing.
We had mental health records that went back to 2012 that were contemporaneous. We had text messages from Mr. Depp's assistant saying when.
Now, one thing that she said that they had notes going back to 2012. That's a problem because when Amber first testified, she said the first time I was ever abused, I remember it. I remember it because it was so important. It was just so thing. It was 2013. I remember it. I'll never forget. And then after the break, the next day, she's testifying. I forgot. It wasn't 2013. Like I testified under oath before. Like I testified in the UK. Like I testified all before was 2013. Is actually 2012. So the stuff that I've been saying for the past 5 years about it being in 2013, I'm telling you right now, that was all a lie. It's 2012. But believe me, that's what Elaine is selling. essentially.
And I told him that he had kicked you.
Yeah.
He cried.
So how
That
is she
didn't come
today,
in.
Elaine? How is she today? What
She's
is her
heartbroken.
next move?
She's right. Well, her next move is appeal. There were
But
a
she's
number.
heartbroken.
She is heartbroken. And one of the first things that she said when she came back from the verdict, when we went into the conference room, was, "I am so sorry to all these women."
She said that?
Yes, she felt like she had let down all of these women because she had more evidence than most people do, and yet they still didn't believe her.
Elaine Charleston, Brett.
So that's what she's going on. She's saying that, hey, I have more evidence than most, but there was more evidence against her, especially this, people. Elaine is doing what she thinks she needs to do to help her client. But let's really understand this. Out of all the evidence that was most damning to Amber Heard's side, I think the piece that was the most damning, that really put in perspective what this case was about, was the tape, the audio tape of Amber Heard literally telling Johnny Depp, "No one's going to believe you. No one's going to believe I abused you, right? I didn't punch you. I hit you. And no one's going to believe you. No one's, tell the world, or tell the jury, tell the judge, no one will believe you." Right? That's what she said. And guess what? He did. He went and told everybody. But he also showed them the evidence, showed them that tape. So yes, she could say she had more evidence than most, but there was more evidence to show that she was the abuser. She wasn't the victim. Elaine, we all know you're lying. We all know she wasn't a victim. That's it. The jury's not corrupt. The judge is not stupid. The social media isn't just some raging place that all hates Amber Heard. We saw it for ourselves. And that's how we came to our conclusion. Hey, if you like this clip and you like what I do, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. And my name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm out of here. Peace.